The sun was dipping behind the city skyline, painting the streets in shades of gold and orange as 17-year-old Ethan Rousey pedaled his bike down Maplewood Avenue. He had earbuds in, listening to an old motivational recording his mother once gave him, the voice of Ronda Rousey echoing with fierce confidence, "You don't quit when you're tired, you quit when you're done." Ethan lived by those words. Being the son of the world-famous fighter came with pressure, expectations, and more eyes on him than he ever wanted. That was why today, he wasn't riding home from a gym, or a dojo, or an event. Instead, he was simply going to visit his friend Liam to help him study for exams. No cameras, no spotlight, just a regular teenager for a moment. Up ahead, on a quiet stretch of the street, a patrol car was parked crookedly. The officer standing beside it seemed irritated, pacing back and forth, muttering something under his breath. Ethan slowed his bike. The officer snapped around the moment he noticed movement, his posture stiff, his expression sharp, like he had been waiting for someone to unleash his frustration on. "Hey, you, stop right there," the officer barked. Ethan pulled off his headphones, surprised. "Me, don't play smart." The cop growled, marching toward him. "Get off the bike, now." Ethan wasn't the type to cause trouble. He quietly stepped off. "Sir, is there a problem?" The Officer Grant was breathing heavily, anger radiating off him like heat. Ethan didn't know it, but Grant had just come off a heated argument with his superior. His temper was explosive, and Ethan had simply become a target. "I said show me ID," Grant snapped. Ethan reached slowly into his pocket. "Sure, it's right." Grant suddenly shoved him hard. Ethan stumbled backward, falling onto the pavement. His palms scraped, and his phone skidded away. "What was that for?" Ethan gasped, stunned. "Don't talk back," Grant shouted. Ethan raised his hands, trying to stay calm. "Sir, I wasn't." Grant grabbed him by the front of his hoodie and yanked him up violently. "I know your type," Grant hissed. "Think you can just ride around doing whatever you want? You look suspicious." "I'm just going to my friend's house," Ethan said, voice shaking. Grant didn't listen. The officer slammed Ethan against the hood of his patrol car. Ethan winced as pain shot through his ribs. Cars passed by, but no one stopped. No one knew who Ethan really was, and right now he didn't want to shout, "I'm Ronda Rousey's son," because that felt like cheating. He wanted to handle this like anyone else would, but Officer Grant was spiraling. "Hands behind your back," the officer said, grabbing Ethan's wrist with unnecessary force. "I didn't do anything," Ethan protested. Grant twisted his arm sharply. Ethan gasped in pain, and in that split second, a low, calm, controlled voice sliced through the air like a blade. "Let him go." Grant froze. He knew that voice. Everyone did. Ethan slowly lifted his head and his breath caught. Standing not 10 feet away, silent as a shadow, was Ronda Rousey, hoodie on, gym bag slung over her shoulder, her eyes locked onto the officer with a glare so cold it made the evening breeze feel like winter. Grant's face went pale. He released Ethan immediately, stepping back. "Ma'am, I didn't know that." Ronda didn't blink. She stepped closer, every movement precise, coiled, controlled. Not explosive, controlled. That was more terrifying. "You didn't know he was my son," she said quietly. "Or you didn't care." Grant swallowed hard. "It was a misunderstanding." "Really?" Ronda said, her tone icy. "Because from what I saw, you shoved him, grabbed him, and twisted his arm. That's not a misunderstanding, that's assault." "Ma'am, please," Grant stammered. "I was just doing my job." "No," Ronda whispered, stepping close enough that he instinctively stepped back. "Doing your job is protecting the public. What you did was abusing your power." Ethan tried to stand straight, but pain shot through his shoulder. Ronda instantly moved to him, gently touching his arm. "You okay, baby?" she asked softly. Ethan nodded, though he clearly wasn't. Ronda's jaw tightened. The quietest changes in her expression were more frightening than any punch she had ever thrown in a ring. Officer Grant loosened his collar, sweating. "Ma'am, I didn't recognize him." Ronda looked up again, calm, controlled, but deadly serious. "You shouldn't have to recognize him," she said. "You should treat everyone with respect." Grant opened his mouth, but no words came out. Ronda stepped forward again, her eyes locking onto him like a predator studying prey. "You want to explain why you attacked a teenager?" she asked. I mean he was acting suspicious. Ethan shook his head. I literally just stopped when you asked. Rhonda's stare sharpened. So you targeted him because he was alone, easy to intimidate. Grant's breathing became uneven. I didn't mean, officer. Rhonda said softly. You really should choose your next words very carefully. Her tone wasn't loud. It wasn't angry. It was deadly calm, the kind of calm you only hear from someone who knows exactly how dangerous they can be. Grant took a shaky step back. Ma'am, please, can we just forget this happened? Rhonda looked at him like he was out of his mind. Forget, she repeated. You hurt my son. Grant's heartbeat was visible in his throat. I didn't know. You didn't need to know. She cut in. A few people on the sidewalk began recording with their phones. The temperature in the air seemed to drop. For the first time, Grant realized he wasn't dealing with a parent. He was dealing with Ronda Rousey, undefeated, unshaken, and unbreakable, and she wasn't done. Not even close, because she hadn't asked the most important question yet, why Officer Grant was really there, waiting in the street, looking for someone to take his anger out on, and the answer to that question would change everything. Officer Grant stood frozen, sweat beading on his forehead even though the breeze was cool. Ronda Rousey didn't raise her voice, didn't clench a fist, didn't threaten him. She didn't need to. The silence between every question she asked felt heavier than a punch. Ethan rubbed his shoulder carefully, wincing. Rhonda turned to him for a moment, eyes soft, protective, then faced Grant again with the intensity of a storm preparing to break. Why were you already angry before you saw my son? Rhonda asked, her voice calm but razor sharp. Grant blinked. I wasn't angry. Yes, you were. Rhonda said, you were pacing, muttering, and ready to explode at the first person you saw. His mouth opened, but no explanation came out. Ethan added quietly, he yelled at me the second I stopped. He pushed me before I even said a full sentence. Rhonda didn't break eye contact with the officer. This wasn't routine. Something set you off. What happened? Grant shifted uneasily. He wasn't ready to answer. His jaw tightened. Finally he said, it's none of your business. Ethan inhaled sharply. None, you attacked me. But Rhonda raised a hand gently, stopping Ethan from saying more. Her focus stayed locked on Grant, her eyes narrowing slightly. You attacked a minor. She said, you need to explain. More people were stopping now, watching from a distance. Not a crowd, just enough witnesses to make Grant feel trapped. He wiped his brow, avoiding her gaze. It's a police matter. No, Rhonda said. It's a matter of you abusing your authority. Grant's jaw trembled. His voice cracked slightly. You don't understand. Today was bad. Rhonda's stare softened just a hair, not sympathetic, but curious. What happened? She asked, her tone neutral. Grant looked away, then back, then away again. Finally he spoke. My sergeant. He chewed me out this morning, told me I was sloppy, said the precinct received a complaint about me, said if I screw up again, I lose my badge. Ethan raised an eyebrow. So you took it out on me? Grant flinched. The truth hurt more than anything Rhonda could physically do. No, he said weakly, not on purpose, but you did. Rhonda replied. Silence stretched. Grant's shoulders slumped. I'm under pressure. My wife left 2 months ago. I'm barely seeing my daughter. I'm working overtime every week. I'm exhausted. The complaint today pushed me over the edge. He swallowed hard. And you were in the wrong place at the wrong time. Ethan felt a mix of frustration and pity. He looked at his scraped palms, but Rhonda didn't soften. You're going through something. She said, fine, we all do. But your job is to manage it, not take it out on the public. Grant looked down shamefully. That's why you shouldn't be on duty today. Rhonda continued. You're unstable. You're dangerous when you're angry. I know. He murmured. Rhonda took a step closer. Grant involuntarily stepped back. Hurting my son was not just a lapse in judgment, she said. It was reckless and unacceptable. Grant closed his eyes. I didn't know he was your son. That shouldn't matter. Rhonda shot back. He nodded, defeated. Rhonda exhaled slowly, thinking, analyzing. Her anger wasn't impulsive, it was strategic. She didn't want revenge, she wanted accountability. "We're going to the station," she said. Grant's eyes snapped open. "What? No, no, please. I'll get fired. You should have thought about that before hurting a kid." Rhonda replied, "Ma'am, I'm begging you," he said desperately. "I have a daughter. If I lose this job, I lose everything." Rhonda stared at him for several long seconds. "You could have seriously injured Ethan," she said. I know, he whispered. Ethan spoke up. "Mom." "Maybe." Rhonda gently nudged his arm. "Not yet." Grant's breathing became shallow, panic rising in his eyes. His hand hovered near his holster, not in a threatening way but out of pure nervous habit. "Bad move." Rhonda noticed instantly. Her eyes locked on the movement like a hawk. Grant froze. "I'm not grabbing it. I'm not. You shouldn't even be touching it," she said sharply. "You're shaking." Grant looked at his trembling fingers. He quickly moved his hand away. Rhonda took one slow step forward. "You're unstable, panicked, and unpredictable. That gun should already be off your belt." Grant swallowed. "Please, I just need one chance. I'll apologize. I'll take responsibility. Just don't end my career." Rhonda breathed deeply. Ethan touched her elbow softly. "Mom, he's not lying. He looks like he's already at rock bottom." Rhonda didn't look at Ethan, but she heard him. Her jaw softened slightly, but only slightly. "Fine," she said quietly. "I won't end your career." Grant almost collapsed with relief, but Rhonda continued, "You're going to do exactly what I say." Grant nodded rapidly. "Yes, anything." "First," Rhonda said, "you're going to hand me your body cam." Grant's eyes widened. "WH. Why?" "Because I know you turned it off," she said. "Didn't you?" Grant froze. "Turn it back on and give it to me," she ordered. He slowly unclipped it. Sure enough, it was off. He handed it to her with trembling hands. "Second," she said, "you're filing a report, a real one, explaining everything you just told us." Grant nodded. "Third," Rhonda said, "you're going to take a leave of absence. You're unstable and unfit for duty." Grant hesitated. They'll ask why. You'll tell them the truth." Rhonda said, "You're burned out. You need help." Grant blinked. "Help? Yes," she said. "You need counseling. You need rest. You need supervision so this never happens again." Grant looked defeated, but also relieved, like part of him wanted someone to say those words. "And fourth," Rhonda added, leaning in, "if you ever lay a hand on another teenager like that again, badge or no badge, I will make sure the entire world knows." Grant's throat bobbed. "I understand." Rhonda nodded slowly. "Good." Just then, Ethan picked up his bike. "Mom, I think my shoulder's bruised." Rhonda turned instantly, her fierce expression melting into worry. "Let me see." She gently touched his arm, guiding him to move it. He winced. "We'll get you checked out," she said softly. Meanwhile, Officer Grant stood quietly behind them, shaken, ashamed but oddly calmer. He had expected violence from Ronda Rousey. Instead, he received something far more powerful, a lesson. A consequence and a warning, but as Rhonda took Ethan's bike and started walking him toward the car, something unexpected happened. A second patrol car turned the corner, approaching fast. Grant stiffened. "Oh no!" Rhonda turned. "What now?" The patrol car screeched to a stop. The new officer jumped out aggressive, furious, hands already on his baton. He shouted, "Grant, step away from them, now!" Grant whispered, terrified, "Oh no, this just got worse." The second patrol car screeched to a stop so violently that the tires left dark streaks across the pavement. Officer Grant's entire body tensed like he had just seen a ghost. Rhonda shifted subtly, stepping half a foot in front of Ethan without even thinking. Her instincts were sharper than any weapon. The new officer, tall, broad, heavy boots slamming against the ground, stormed toward them with a baton drawn and fury already burning in his eyes. "Grant," he shouted, "what did you do?" Grant raised his hands quickly. "Garner, wait, it's not what?" Officer Garner jabbed the baton toward him threateningly. "I told you last time, if you screw up again, I'll personally drag you off the force." Grant swallowed hard. "Please just listen." But Garner wasn't interested in listening. He was scanning the scene, seeing Ethan's scraped hands, Rhonda's fierce posture, Grant's panicked expression, and drawing the wrong conclusion instantly. "You assaulted civilians," Garner roared. Ronda stepped forward calmly, placing herself squarely between Garner and Grant. Ethan stood behind her, knowing better than to intervene. "Officer," Ronda said quietly, "you need to slow down." Garner blinked at her, confused, then scoffed when he recognized her. "Oh great," he muttered, "the fighter." Ronda's expression stayed ice calm. "Put the baton down." "No," Garner said. "I'm taking him in and sorting this mess out at the station." "You're escalating a situation you don't understand," Ronda replied. Garner pointed the baton at Ethan. "That kid is injured. Grant assaulted him. I'm arresting him now." Grant's eyes widened with fear. "Garner, stop, you don't understand. She's Ronda Rousey. I don't care if she's the Queen of England." Garner snapped. "Back up, lady." Ethan whispered, "Mom." Ronda didn't move. Garner stepped closer, boots thudding with heavy authority. His baton hovered in front of her chest. "Move," he growled. Ronda didn't blink. Her eyes were steel. "Put it down." Garner took a swing, a big one, a reckless one, the kind thrown by someone who thought intimidation mattered more than control. But Ronda wasn't intimidated. She was calculating. The baton sliced through the air, and in less than a heartbeat, Ronda shifted her weight, stepped inside Garner's reach, caught his wrist mid-swing, twisted, and planted him on the pavement with a single, clean, controlled movement. Boom! Garner hit the ground so fast the baton clattered away. People watching gasped. Ethan exhaled long and shaky. He had seen his mom train, fight, compete. But seeing her protect him like this felt different. Ronda knelt beside Garner, pinning his wrist gently but firmly. "Are you calm now?" Garner groaned. What was that?" "A warning," Ronda said. She didn't look angry. She looked disappointed. "That could have been a child you swung at," she said, "or someone untrained. You cannot behave like this on duty." Garner winced. "Elle, let me up." "Will you calm down?" Ronda asked. "Yes," he grunted. She released him and stood. Garner struggled up to his knees, panting, stunned. "I didn't. You." Ronda raised an eyebrow. "You attacked first." Garner rubbed his wrist, staring at her with a mix of fear, shock, and embarrassment. "I didn't know it was you. That's the problem," Ronda replied. "You shouldn't need to." Officer Grant stepped forward timidly. "Garner, please listen. I messed up. I know I did. She helped me realize it." Garner looked at Grant with disbelief. "You're defending her." "I'm telling you the truth," Grant said. "I hurt her son." Garner froze. "Her son?" Ethan stepped forward slightly, holding his shoulder. "Yeah, that's me." Garner's breath stopped for a moment. "Oh no." Garner whispered. "Grant, what did you do?" "I took out my frustration on him," Grant said quietly. "But she didn't destroy my career. She helped me. She told me what to do." Ronda added, "He's taking a leave of absence to get help. He'll file a report. He's correcting his mistake." Garner stared at Grant, then at Ronda, then at Ethan. His anger evaporated instantly. The truth was hitting him like cold water. He let out a long, defeated sigh. "I'm sorry." Ronda nodded once. Garner then looked at Ethan. "And I'm sorry you had to go through that." Ethan gave a small nod. "Just don't let it happen to anyone else." Garner swallowed thickly. "It won't." The tension in the air loosened slowly. Finally, Garner looked at Ronda. "Ma'am, I know who you are, and thank you for not pressing charges." Ronda crossed her arms. "I didn't say I wouldn't." Garner stiffened, but Ronda continued, "If Grant does everything he promised honestly and fully, then I won't." Grant nodded quickly. "I will, I swear." Ronda held his gaze for a long moment, then finally softened just a little. "Good." Garner took a deep breath. "I'll make sure the report is processed correctly. I'll personally oversee everything." Ronda nodded again. The street was quiet now. People slowly lowered their phones, realizing the situation wasn't going to explode any further. Ethan lifted his bike again. "Can we go home now?" Ronda smiled softly. "Yeah, baby, let's go." But before she left, she turned back to Grant and Garner. "One last thing," she said. Both officers straightened instinctively. Ronda stepped closer, her voice low but clear. "Everyone makes mistakes. What matters is how you fix them. If you want to be good officers, protect people, don't harm them. Earn the badge you wear." Grant nodded with tears in his eyes. Garner stood taller, humbled. Rhonda gave one final look, fierce, powerful, and unforgettable, before turning and walking with Ethan toward the car. Garner whispered to Grant, "You just survived Ronda Rousey, and she didn't break your face." Grant sniffed. "Yeah, and I'm grateful." Garner looked at Ethan. "Kid, you're lucky to have her." Ethan smiled slightly. "I know." And as they drove away, Ethan glanced at his mother. "Mom, yeah, thanks for everything." Rhonda ruffled his hair gently. "You don't have to thank me. I'm your mom. I'm always behind you." Ethan exhaled with relief. Rhonda looked ahead at the road, her expression fierce again, but this time filled with pride. "Just remember," she said softly, "nobody messes with my kid." And with that, they disappeared into the fading sunlight, leaving behind two shaken officers who would never forget the day they learned who they were dealing with.